Hey, my name's James Rocco with RedCritter. Today, I'm going to show you how to connect your RedCritter account to Google Glass. It's a pretty easy process. All you need are a pair of these Google Glasses, a Google account registered to the glasses, and then just a free RedCritter.com account, which I just created right here. Really the only thing I did was swap out my profile photo, which you can do right there. But what I want to focus on is the Publish and Share button. We allow you to publish your accomplishments to multiple social networks. The same way you would connect to LinkedIn, Yammer, Twitter, or Facebook, you would connect to Google Glass. So you'll notice a connect link under the Glass logo. Click that. If you're already logged into Google, all you have to do is click accept. And then you can actually customize the items that you want to show up in your Google Glass. So you can select all for your professional achievements and also all for your personal achievements. So everything that happens to your profile, you're going to get a Google Glass alert, which is pretty cool. All right, so if you did that right, you should see up in your display here an alert pop in. There it is right there. That's the Glass Explorer badge. That basically signals that you've connected it successfully. So now, swipe down. I'm going to show you how to create your own app in your own badge and award them the exact same way. First, you'll notice also on my profile here, if I refresh that, you'll see that this badge is now there. That's the Glass Explorer badge. Super cool. Simply go to redcritterconnector.com. So what's really cool about RedCritter Connector is that you can create your own badges, certs, skills, and award them using our open APIs. And everything's REST-based, so it's very easy to do. So let's say you want to give a badge to your coworkers or friends. This is the process you'd go through. If you don't already have a RedCritter Connector account, you can get one for as little as $9.99 a month. But I already have an account, so I'll just sign in. So once you're logged in, we'll just create a new app for this demo. We'll call it Google Glass. Once you're ready, just click Create New App. There's a lot you can customize here, but for now, you're pretty much done. Just click Save. Now, let's create a badge. So you see this big New button on the bottom left. Hit New, Badge, and we'll call this the Top Performer Badge. So under the badge configuration page, first thing you should do is swap out that badge graphic. You can upload any PNG image with an alpha channel. Once you have your graphic uploaded, you can move it, resize it, really make it look good inside of this area. And you'll notice we add reflections, we make it a consistent look across all of your achievements. We also allow you to change the colors if you wanted to spice it up a little bit. That looks good. Just click Next. You can preview your badge at a few different sizes. Click Next once again, and now that's what your badge looks like. If you click Save down there, your badge is saved. There's a few more options down here, which you feel free to play around with. Basically a lot of logic that you can set in Connector that would override any API calls that you might be making. Just go back here, and let's check to make sure. Yep, there it is right there. So my Top Performer badge is there. So now what I want to do is actually award this badge to the account that I just created through RedCritter. To do that, let's pop on over to the Learn page on redcritterconnector.com. If I go to this API reference, you'll see we have an award badge API call here, and you can actually get some more details on it right there. What I'm going to do is just copy this URL string, and I'm going to open up Notepad to make this easy. I'll paste that right there. So you'll notice there's a few variables that I need to replace here. My secret key, which is actually listed in RedCritter Connector. If I go to my settings, you'll see this access key down here. Just simply double click that. We can copy that and then go back to your desktop, and we'll swap out secret key, profile entity. Here you need to add the email address of the person you want to send the badge to, and the badge name, Top Performer. So now what's going to happen when I paste this into a browser, it's going to give me a JSON response. Well, let's try that out. I'll just throw that URL in there. And you'll see that we did get a JSON response. I don't need to open that because I'm pretty sure I know what it looks like. So you want to check your inbox. You should have an invitation to join the new app that you just created, just like you see here. So if I click add to my profile and then just type in my credentials, you'll notice that my profile just updated with this new top performer badge. And I should see it once again pop up in my display. There it is right there. That looks pretty cool. So that's the badge that I just created. And it's right there in my Google display, which is pretty awesome. You know, pretty much any feature in RedCritter Connector, from badges to search to skills, can all be published to your Google Glass display. So you can create a really cool interactive experience for all of your employees, whether it be a call center, sales team, sky's the limit. So first, go to redcritterconnector.com and click how it works. This is essentially our preferred process when it comes to doing integrations. There's 4 steps: identify, design, deploy, and measure. In this demo, I'm just going to walk you through those first 3 steps, and then if you want to do more with it, you can. Another resource I want to point you to is the Learn section. Here you can get everything from basic concepts to video tutorials to a full API reference guide. So if you click any one of these API calls, you can expand these so you can see the variables, what everything means, etc. And then this URL is essentially all that you need to make that API call for each object. And then the other thing I want to point out is on this page that you're watching this video, be sure and click this Download Assets link right here. Once that's downloaded, drag that Assets folder to your desktop or somewhere you remember it. Within that Assets folder, there's a few PNG graphics. I'll refer to those in a little bit, but for now, go ahead and open up that reference text document, as well as the reference illustration there. Now I'm going to refer to these throughout, so just have those open. If you have an account, you're ready to sign in. If you don't have an account, I'm just going to point you to this pricing page. You can get one for as little as $9.99 a month, and that even includes a 30-day free trial. So we definitely encourage you to do that if you don't have an account already. But since I do, I'm just going to click Sign In. These are all the apps I've created, and they're all self-contained integrations for different systems. We're going to do the same thing for Freshdesk. So on the bottom left, click New, App, and we'll call this my Freshdesk App. When you're ready, click Create New App. Now you just created your Freshdesk app. First thing you should do though is change out the app icon by clicking Edit and Upload New Image. So when you go to that Assets folder, you'll notice that there are a couple of logos in here for Freshdesk. I actually recommend using the first one because it's a square graphic, but you could use the second one if you wanted. Now using this built-in designer, you want to make sure that the logo is not cut off in any way. You'll notice if you go too far up, this is cut off. You want to go down just enough to where it's centered and all the edges are visible. That looks pretty good. If you go back to that text document, you'll notice at the top there's a list of 4 hex codes. These are all colors I pulled from the Freshdesk site. You can simply highlight one, right-click and click Copy, go back, and then just paste that in place. And that looks pretty good. If you wanted to maybe try another one, same process for each. And actually prefer that. When you're ready, click the next arrow. This will let you preview your app's icon at a few different sizes. Still looks good, so I'll click Next one more time, and then click Save. And now my app's icon is officially saved and updated. Now you can go further down this configuration page. There's a lot of options here, but for now we'll just leave it as is. So if I go to my illustration, you'll notice that I've identified kind of what I want to do with my implementation here. I want my Freshdesk support specialist to focus more on resolving urgent tickets. In order to accomplish that, I've designed a couple of things in RedCritter here. So I'm going to create an action that I'm going to trigger from Freshdesk. And within Connector, that's going to trigger a leaderboard, a badge, and a skill. And then secondly, I'm going to create a reward in my default app domain, which will let me give out reward points based on resolving urgent tickets in Freshdesk. So that's my design. When I get into the deploy section, I'm going into Freshdesk and I'm going to create a couple of new rules, apply some logic and conditions, and then add in those actual API calls that I was talking about earlier. And then step number 4, which I won't get into very much, basically is for analyzing the results of your system and tweaking anything to make it better if needed. So now that I've identified my objective, let's just jump right into RedCritter connector and create that first action. So once you're inside of your app, go down and click New and click Action. We're going to call this action Resolved a Freshdesk Ticket. When you're done, click Create New Action. And there's actually no more configuration here. Just click Save and go back and make sure that action's there. There it is right there. So now I have an action in connector. And to explain that, I'll go into this text document. You'll notice here we have this Add Action API call. Since I already know the name of my action, I'm just going to write that right here. I'm actually just going to add a couple of spaces here just to make sure that's encoded correctly. And so now my action name should match Resolved a Freshdesk Ticket. Resolved a Freshdesk Ticket. All right. Now this profile entity, which you'll notice to the left, this is a variable within Freshdesk. If you see this link right here, you can go there and they give you a whole list of placeholders and variables. I've already inserted this one, which is basically the agent's email that's assigned to the ticket. And then secret key right here, you can actually get that by going back, going to settings, and then clicking access key. Just double click that key, right click, copy, and go back and right click and paste that into place. Then lastly, you'll see that there is a value variable at the end of this URL. Now I've valued this at 10. Which basically means when I make this API call, it's going to basically give me 10 action points. And why is that important? Well, if you go back to connector, click New, Leaderboard, we're going to call this leaderboard Freshdesk Support. When you're ready, click Create New Leaderboard. And if you go down the page, you'll notice a trigger section. So for the time period, I'm going to select week to date because I want this to reset every week, where the sum of this action I just created in the top, I'm actually going to make this top 100%. So out of everyone performing this action, I want them to be ranked based on the sum of all those actions that they're performing. And so within Freshdesk, I'll be pushing in those action point values such as 10, which you see right here. This is actually for an urgent ticket, but maybe you wanted to set up a trigger for a medium ticket or a lower ticket with lower point values. And I'll explain that more in Freshdesk, but this leaderboard basically will calculate all these actions that are created. So you could create multiple triggers in Freshdesk to do multiple things. For now, just click Save and go back. Click Leaderboards to make sure it's there. Just like I created a leaderboard based on that action trigger, I'm going to create a badge. So click New, Badge. We'll call this badge the Top Specialist Badge. And as a description, I added, you're one of our top Freshdesk specialists. When you're ready, click Create New Badge. Just like at the app level, you can customize the icon of this badge. So just click on the badge, click Upload New Image, and then back in the Assets folder, there is a headset PNG file. I'll go ahead and upload that, but if you notice on the screen, you can upload any PNG file as long as it has transparency or an alpha channel inside of it, because we're going to strip out all the colors. So basic shapes are the most important to have. In this file, everything that's white is actually transparent, and so when I bring that into connector, I'll get this nice shape there. Once it's in the badge designer, simply move it around, resize it, to make it fit really nicely into that space. And then you can even customize the colors. So maybe you wanted to change the foreground and background to make it pop a little more on a profile. And then even if you wanted to use some of these colors here, I'm actually just going to use this dark green color as my foreground. Cool. When you're ready, click Next. Once you've previewed your badge, if you still like it, click Next one more time, Just click Save. Now your badge has been updated. If you go a little further down the page, we have a section called Prerequisites, which is basically logic you can set to override any API calls you might be making. For now, we'll just leave those as is. And just like with the leaderboard, there's a category called Trigger. If I click Yes on using an action trigger, I want to set this up so that this badge is given to my top 3 specialists for the week. So I'll select the same week-to-date time period where the sum of the action I just created in the top, we'll put 3. And so basically, I've replicated the logic I used in my leaderboard. However, instead of selecting everyone for a ranking, it's only going to select the top 3 people that have the most action points. And so when you're done, click Save and go back. Let's make sure that badge is there. There's the top specialist badge. Now I want to do one more thing. I want to create a skill. If you go down and click New and Skill, we'll call this skill Resolving Tickets. When you're ready, click Create New Skill. If you go down the page, the first section here is levels. You can customize up to 10 different skill levels and set the required point values for each one. Maybe you want a 4th skill level called Expert, and it takes 300 points to hit that level. Maybe you want a 5th level called Master, then you could select 400 points for that one. If you go a little further down, you can actually implement skill degradation. So maybe I want my solving cases skill to dip, maybe it's 10 points every day. This will help when I'm doing searches. It's going to help me filter out the people that aren't actively using that skill. And then just like the badge, you can set up an action trigger. So click the Resolve the Freshdesk ticket action that you already set up and adjust by, we'll just make this the action value. And so once again, if I go back to that API call, when I pass in this value right here, value equals 10. This is going to boost this skill by 10 points. And so if I go up to my levels, you notice here, I'm going to start at beginner, which is 0. When I get 10 points, I'll be about 10% of the way to that intermediate level. And we'll be able to monitor that within the system. When you're done, just click Save and go back and make sure that skill's still there. Cool. So that skill is called Resolving Tickets. We also created that leaderboard for Freshdesk support, and we have a badge called Top Specialist. And these are all influenced by this action that we created called Resolved a Freshdesk Ticket. And so if I go back to my diagram, I've done everything here that's a part of this first step. Normally I would also create a reward, but since I want to explain some of this along the way, we'll just go into the first step of deployment, and we'll jump right into Freshdesk. Go ahead and sign into your Freshdesk, and you will need administrative access. If you go and click Admin, find this Observer under Help Desk Productivity. This is where we're going to write our first rule. Go ahead and click New Rule. We're going to call this Give 10 Action Points for Resolving an Urgent Ticket. And then we're going to select some conditions. So when a ticket is updated, and the events are performed by the agent, and then in this case, any agent. So on tickets where the priority set at urgent, and then also when the ticket status is resolved, I want to perform a webhook, trigger webhook. And then this is where I'm going to place that URL from my text document. So if I go back here, I can just highlight this whole call, right click and click copy. And I'm going to paste this right in. Click Save. And now I'm ready to try this out. So I just created a sample ticket. You want to make sure that the priority is set to urgent and that it's been assigned to an actual agent. And then the status, we'll just mark that as open for now. And then we'll just click Save on the bottom there. And so now when I mark this case as resolved, that should fire off that Add Action API call. If we go to Connector and click Settings, Normally you're going to see all app activity happen within a field right here. This is actually a real-time activity feed. And each object, whether it's a badge, cert, skill, is going to have a very similar feed just for that object. Now the reason nothing came in yet is because I actually haven't opted into this app yet. And I'll actually show you what that looks like right now. So here's my email. Your email should look pretty similar to this one. And so you'll see here, I've been invited to join this app. I have the option to either add it to an existing profile or to start a new profile. Since I already have a profile, I'll just click Add to my profile. Okay, so we're signed in here. We'll wait a few seconds and you'll notice this wants to refresh my page. And the first thing I notice is that I have this Top Specialist badge. If you click that, you'll see that this came from my Freshdesk app that I created. And then on the bottom, you'll see this message that I customized when I designed that badge. Then also, if I go a little further down my profile, I'll notice this new skill here, resolving tickets. If I go up and click New, this is kind of the same information, except it's an actual history of everything that I've done. If I click Standings, you'll notice this Freshdesk Support leaderboard. If I click that, and so I'm ranked right now based on the amount of points I've accrued. If you click Apps and Rewards, this is the last thing I want to show you. Your Freshdesk app should be in this list, and this is actually where your reward store will be in a little bit. So that seems to do everything that I wanted it to. Just to make sure that works, I'm going to submit another ticket so I can see it in real time in Connector. So I just created another ticket here. Click Save. And then when I resolve this ticket and update it, you'll see a real-time feed of everything that just happened. My skill went up 10 points because it was the value of whatever that action was. And because of those action points, I moved up my leaderboard. And now I have a total of 20. If I go to my profile, first thing I see is that I need to refresh my profile. Click Yes. This resolving tickets skill only went up 10%, and so it's not too noticeable, but it did go up. The badge, I'm still in that top 3, so that didn't drop off. And then if I go and click Standings, and then click the Freshdesk Support leaderboard, you'll notice now I have 20 points. And now I want to point out one more thing. If you go back to Freshdesk and go to Admin, click Observer, you'll notice here we're giving 10 action points for resolving urgent tickets. So if a ticket's not urgent, they won't get those 10 points. If you find that discouraging, you could simply add another one of these. Maybe it's 5 action points for medium priority tickets, 7 action points for high priority tickets, etc. But the goal here was to give more weight to those urgent tickets, and that's what we've done. If I go back to my diagram, you'll notice phase 2 of the design section is to create a reward in the default app domain. And then we're going to use the adjust reward points API call to trigger from Freshdesk. So first, let's create that reward. Go back to Connector and click App Domains. So right now you only see a default app domain. Every app gets that default app domain, but let's say you had multiple teams or departments. You would simply click New, App Domain, and then simply just write the name of that team or department. When you do that, it's almost like creating an app within an app. If you click the default and go to Configure, you'll notice that there's a few settings here that will override the app level, but the most important part is the rewards section. So you want to make sure that the rewards administrator email address is set. In this case, it's just my email address. And if you wanted to add gift cards, you could simply say yes, and then you would add funds. So let's say you wanted to put in $100. That would go into your gift card fund, and then you'd be able to automate a rewards program simply by having your system award those reward points. Users purchase items using those reward points, and if they're gift cards, it's all automated. The administrator will simply just have to approve via email that request, and then it's all sent digitally, which is super cool. I'm just going to select No for now, but I'll show you that in another video. So now you're done, just click Save, and then go to New and Reward. So I'm going to call this reward Extra Long Lunch. When you're ready, click Create New Reward. So first thing, click that large reward graphic and upload new image. So you'll notice that I provided a lunch.png file. This is what I'm going to use for this reward, but you can choose something else as long as it's a PNG file. And then like before, you want to fit it inside of this area so that it's not cut off. When you're done, click Next. There's a preview for you. If it still looks good, click Next one more time. And now your image is set. If I go down the page, you can actually set how much this reward costs. So here, maybe this will cost 600 points. And then maybe there's only 3 of them available. And then there's some more configuration options, but that's kind of the gist of it. So now this reward is going to show up in my reward store as long as I have some points to spend. So if I go back just to make sure that's there, extra long lunch, there it is. So let's go back to that text document. You'll notice here I've got another API called, and this one's called Adjust Reward Points. My secret key I can actually get from the app domain level, which is right here. Remember, if you have those multiple departments or teams, each one will have their own secret key and public key. Just keep that in mind. And so I'll right-click and paste that right in there. Profile entity, which we already talked about, is going to be the email address of the agent assigned to that ticket. And then points, we're going to give the same amount, 10 points for an urgent ticket. And then a comment, I actually added this in previously. If you can read that, these %20s are just spaces to help with encoding that URL. But it basically says, you resolved an urgent ticket in Freshdesk. And so now I want to trigger this API call from Freshdesk based on some conditions. So let's go to Freshdesk. So under these rules, I want to create a new rule. So click New Rule. We're going to call this one Give 10 Reward Points for Resolving an Urgent Ticket. So just like before, we'll select when a ticket is updated and the events are performed by an agent, any agent, and the ticket has a priority of urgent, and the status is resolved. I want this action to happen, so trigger a webhook, and I'll go back to my text document, right-click, copy that, and simply paste it right in. When you're done, click Save. Now you should see this new rule listed right under your other one. And so now when I get those 10 action points, I should also get 10 reward points. So let's try that out. All right, so I have another sample ticket here. I'll go down and click Save. And now when I mark this as resolved, I should get those reward points. If I go back to RedCritter, all right, you'll see all these just updated. So first, I triggered the resolved a Freshdesk ticket action. That was 10 action points. I got 10 reward points, which was a separate call. My skill was increased because it was triggered by that action. And then my leaderboard position was updated by 10 points. If I go back to my profile, you'll notice here I need a refresh. If I go to New, same updates here that we're used to. If I go to Standings, once again, I've got 30 points on this leaderboard. But now, when you go to Apps and Rewards, you'll see here I have 10 reward points to spend. Now if I click that, you'll notice I can't afford this extra long lunch yet. However, if I keep solving those urgent tickets, I'm going to be able to purchase that, and that's going to be super cool. But you can add as many rewards as you want. Whatever incents your employees the best is what we recommend. But for now, if I could just go back to my main profile, that pretty much wraps up my Freshdesk integration. So you can go to redcritterconnector.com/learn to find some more helpful videos and content. And until the next time, thanks for watching.